So thanks, Denise, for coming to do this with me.
Oh,
So if you could you introduce yourself and just say a little bit about like yourself, where you are, what you like, that kind of
okay.
thing.
My name is Denise, and I'm in New York City. Yay! And I like pizza.
Okay.
Is that what you meant by what I like? Okay.
Yes. No, that's great. That's perfect.
Um, yeah,
Go ahead. No.
and I like your music.
Oh, you're
I stand.
I appreciate it.
That's real talk, though. That's not.
Yes. No, I appreciate it. I do. I do. I just start blushing when people talk about my stuff. I'm like, yeah. But no, I wanted to have you on here. So I know that we had a previous interview where we just talked about like you and life and like working through marriage and like, being a daughter and at this point being a mom. But I really wanted to talk about like you having a dream, you carrying that dream to literally like fruition, like seeing it to the end, even though we're not at the end yet, because I'm sure it's going to have more iterations and things like that. But I really wanted to talk about like the process because even watching you in the process has been really inspiring. Like seeing you like start from the beginning, face challenges and like just keep on going. So I think what you have to offer would be really helpful to other people. So let's talk about your dream. So like, how did the idea for the boxes for because I want you to introduce it because I don't want it to like you have the vision, so like what was the vision for it?
Okay. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. And
Yay.
re-listening to our episode of the other podcast, just like there was so much nostalgia and just like
Hmm.
growth just from that conversation alone.
Yeah,
Um, so it was really good self-reflection at this point and stage in my life.
that's
So
good.
thank you for having me and for having me back.
Thank you.
Um, so speaking of like iterations of a thing, this may sound like the long route of how it came to be, but the the brand is called the Community Gems. I started the LLC in 2014, and the purpose and vision of that is to bring culturally relevant content and products to communities. Um, and I've done so much just around like sharing my gifts and talents with other people and giving them the opportunity to pay me for that.
Mm,
It looked different for in different spaces. I've done speaking engagements, helped uh, parents just give their children activities and information and resources. I've helped with college advisement on different levels. And so just little gems. I didn't want
mm.
to box myself in, pun intended, no pun intended. I didn't want to box myself in. And so I wanted to be able to give little gems to the community, and it looked different in different spaces. And so um, naturally, once I got married, David and I were already thinking about like, what is our thing? What is the legacy that we're going to leave? What kind of environment do we want to create for our children? And so we were just like trying out different things. David and I would like come up with activities and play with them with our nieces and nephews. Well, they're really my cousins, but I call them my nephews. And so one school year, my nephew slash godson was like really struggling academically, and he was just like so frustrated about the learning process. And I would talk to him, it would manifest itself in behavior issues, and like his teacher would talk to him, and his mother would try so hard and talk to him. And so I sat down with him once and I was just like, what's going on, just tell me. And in that conversation, I just learned so much about him, about children, about their process. And one thing that resonated with me was the fact that he didn't have a sense of belonging in his
Mm,
learning space. And
mhm,
to me, that really stuck out. And so I said, what can I do to like build him up, to build his self-confidence, and just make him feel good about himself. And so I created like a binder, a fun pack. There were pictures of like the family with inspirational little quotes around it. Each folder was very organized so he can manage and self-regulate his own time. He would get really frustrated, like if he didn't know a math problem or if the teacher was talking about a subject he didn't know, he would get really frustrated and act out.
Yeah.
And so I like tucked coping strategies in the little pockets of his binder. Like it was a thorough binder. Like I wanted a binder like that.
Yeah.
And so from there, different ones were saying like, you need to market this, like you need to do something with this. And I just kind of cast it aside. I'm like, oh please. Fast forward to being a mom and being in quarantine. The paranoia hit so fast. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have this whole human being who is not going to be engaging and socializing with other people. Like, how am I supposed to maintain my mental health, develop him to be the happy, vibrant baby that the world deserves and that just he deserves, really,
Yeah.
not really the world, but that he deserves to be. And so I started to just curate like activities and things for him. And other moms started to reach out and ask me for those tips and ideas. And so, like I said, David and I were pondering over like what our legacy was going to be. And
Yeah.
so, giving out free content, it's fun for a little while, but after a while, you're like, wait a minute, there's a market for this. There's a need for this. I'm putting in a lot of time and effort, and
Mm.
I'm not charging people.
Yeah.
But then when other people stepped up and said, I will pay you for this, I said, hold on, let me backtrack here and let me get
Yeah.
my ducks in a row. And so that's what we did. And we've been working really hard this year, just, pacing ourselves to actualize our dream. And so Kids Beatboxes was birthed. We're in a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Schools across the nation are mostly remote, and children aren't having that opportunity to socialize, to self-regulate, to be self-aware. Many parents are working from home while trying to manage their children. And so we wanted to create an intimate box that taps into developing social emotional skills for children, but also provide an opportunity for families to have engagement, wholesome engagement while at home. And everything we do is a teaching moment. And so we have a lot of activities and resources inside the boxes, lots of goodies and gems for the child to build up their self-confidence, for them to just feel good and to absolutely have fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's how Kids Be Boxes. And we just want children to be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a lot in what you said, like just that story. Like, so one, like when you first started out in 2014, like this idea wasn't really, I guess, the idea for the Kids Be Boxes, like specifically, like it wasn't there. But the fact that you kept showing up and you kept like iterating and bringing like little pieces to your to I guess like your journey, like when you were talking about doing like dropping little gems, right? I think it's really important because I think sometimes when people dream, they feel like it has to be like this completed thing or like this completed idea, or it has to look one way, or it has to be like one thing. But clearly we've seen like based on where you were in life, like that really impacted what you created. And
Mhm.
so could you speak to like, I guess you being courageous enough to take that first step? Like I know some people are like, either they have a problem with like fearing like, oh, what are people going to think about me putting this out there, or they think like, oh, well, if I don't have it all together, then I can't make the first step, since I don't have the complete like vision. Like how did you find the courage and like just the, like, okay, we'll figure it out as we go along to like take the first step?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to go to a college that ingrained in me from day one to present day, like they still reach out, to not only be purpose centered, but to literally be the salt of the earth. And
Mm,
like everything I do, everywhere I go, the intention is to flavor or add seasoning or add purpose to whatever environment I'm in.
that's
And
good.
so, like, that burden never ever leaves.
Mm.
Like, it really was drilled in me for the 1,000 years that I was there. Um, and so, just real. It took me a minute.
Same.
So, like, it was always ingrained in me to think about purpose. And so there would be nights where I would turn over, like, David, what about this? Like,
Mm,
we should be doing this. We should be curating this. And purpose would like tap me on the shoulder and say, go write that down. Like,
mm,
don't just
say it.
have it as
Yeah.
a grand idea.
Yeah.
I remember like just before the baby was born, like that was really where we said like we're gonna create these little fun packs for kids.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like mostly for Azai. And so that's our baby thing.
Yeah.
And so we were like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And then parenthood just kind of smacked us in the face and we were just like, yeah, maybe that's gonna be 2021.
True.
And then there was purpose tapping me on the shoulder saying like, get to it,
Mm,
don't forget about your purpose.
yeah.
And then once the pandemic hit, I feel like um just seeing a need and being able to meet it, the burden of that, like when God drops a vision, I'm a believer, so like when God drops a vision or an idea into my person, my inner person, my spirit, like there's a wrestling that happens. There's a contention that happens. Like you don't feel comfortable just like knowing that there are children.
Mm,
I mean, Instagram alone or Facebook posts were showing me parents being frustrated and saying like, I can't do it. Like
yeah.
it was mostly jokes about like, there would be like these TikToks of parents flipping their lids because the
Yeah.
kids all over the place, or there was one video where the parent was like, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that. And it's saying, like, I don't know how y'all teachers do it. And then
Yeah.
I just remember being in my class in college and learning some of these skills about how to talk, how to do emotion coaching and things like that.
Mm,
And I said, wow, like somebody thought to put in their mind to teach this to teachers,
yeah.
and yet parents aren't able to have these skills at home. So like how do we
Wow.
bridge that gap? How
Yeah.
do we make sure that parents are like, I shouldn't be the child's first responder around their emotions. They're around their parents more.
That's
Honestly,
good.
in some environments they love their parents more and will listen to their parents more than they ever will a teacher or an educator. And so why not expose parents to the social emotional learning so that they are able to have the resources? And especially because we're in a like our nation is becoming more aware of our mental health, and like we it's very clear that therapy and mental health works
Yeah.
and it matters, and so it
Yes.
matters for our children too.
Yeah.
And like we're not experts, we are parents who are trying, and so it's worth a try. It's worth saying, hey, sidebar, my husband has a history in psychology, a
Mm,
degree in psychology, and
mhm.
so when we're talking about like our students or the children that we've interacted with the past, our conversations are so deep, and we're like, we need to trust the legitimacy of um, our lived experience, our education
That's good.
to do the thing. So
Yeah.
we're just sitting on so much, and it's
Yeah.
just like, why not give it back to the world at a time where we need it most?
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you said like we're sitting on so much because I think that we invalidate our experiences a lot. Like it's like, oh, I'm not qualified because X, Y, and Z. Like I don't have like, yeah, I might have the degree, but I don't have the practice or I don't have like the accolades that other people need to really pursue their thing. Like, did you have to like struggle through like I guess any feelings of like inadequacy or like I guess they're called like imposter syndrome. Like, oh, who am I to really do
Oh,
this thing?
absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, The closest business that I've ever had was the little candy sales that I used to have to
Yes.
do in school. And
Yes.
so it's like, who told me to sell something? Like, somebody's gonna be like, hello, your math is off, miss.
Oh,
Right? Like,
a
that's
nightmare.
actually a biggest fear of mine. Like, I'm gonna make sure my math is right.
Oh no.
Thank God my husband's a math
Yes.
so he'll work that part. But yeah, imposter syndrome is real
Mhm.
because we've like we've been studying up for most of the year
Mm.
just about milestones and children's development, mostly because we're parents and we're nerds, and so
Mhm.
like we want to make sure that we're on top of things for our child,
Yeah.
but also for our business. And so the more that you learn and expose yourself to what's out there, there are some professionals who are so well versed in it,
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming. And
Mm.
at one point, God just dropped into our hearts, like, stop looking at other people, stop looking
That's
at their faces, their problems.
yes.
Like, um, and God would tell me, like, okay, so you're watching this TED talk on social emotional learning.
Mhm.
And yes, they may have the speech, but you have the vision, the heart
Mm.
of the matter. And
Mhm.
so while I might not rattle off research the way some of the people do in TED Talks,
Mhm.
um, the heart and the stewardship of the matter is there.
Yeah.
The creativity, the God breathed creativity behind it is
Yeah.
there, and you cannot deny that. And so I had to do a lot of self work,
Mhm.
a lot of inner work to make sure that I wasn't holding myself back in my
Yeah.
great by talking myself out of. Um, and full transparency, this should have been done at the beginning of the school year, by end of August, honestly.
Wow. Okay.
Launch was supposed to happen and should have happened
Mhm.
then.
Mhm.
But there did come a point in time where I was just like, am I capable?
Yeah.
Should I do this? Everybody's coming up with something.
Yeah.
Am I worth putting myself out there?
Mm.
And thank God for the mom communities that I'm in and the awesome friends that I have that are really good at pushing. And I'm saying thank God for the mom communities because, like, they ask the questions, and every time there's a question, I'm like, oh my God, I know that answer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something. And then they're like, wow, can you tell me more? Can you give me more?
Mm.
What should I do? And it's just affirming to be in a space around people who want what you have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Again, you said a lot, and you're really speaking to me too when you're
I
talking
talk a lot.
about. No,
Sorry.
no, it's good. It's great when you're talking about like kind of. I think sometimes what we tend to do, what I tend to do, especially, is like I have an idea. Let me go on the internet and search. Like, does it exist? Like trying to seek validation for that idea, and it's like, why can't God giving me the idea be the validation? Why can't that be
Right.
enough? Right? Because it's again using what God says to do versus like what the world says to do or how to do it or like how to go about it. If I don't see it, sometimes it feels like, oh well, no one else is doing it, it's stupid. Or I'll find, oh, people are doing it and they're probably doing it better. And I think sometimes that we forget like God made us as individuals on purpose. Like there are only certain things that we can do. Like he doesn't waste people. He doesn't waste like life. You know what I'm saying? And experiences. And sometimes it feels like he does because you'd be like, what the heck is going on? But I really feel like you said, these what you studied in school, what your husband studied in school is not an accident. You know what I'm saying? Like it was on purpose. Like it was, even though we felt like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do this because this is what I'm interested in and this is what I want to do. Those interests came from him. Like
Yeah.
he sees the vision before we even get to, however old like we live to. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I appreciate you sharing that because it's like a reminder for me because I over research. And so because of that, one, I get overwhelmed, but also I get discouraged because I'm like, oh well, I shouldn't do it. And therefore delaying, what God wants me to do. But I also want to point out, even though it was supposed to come out in August, right? Like that was the intended date, how you still persevering and putting it out even in November, or you know what I'm saying? Like that still counts. Like that's still, like it doesn't lose any impactfulness just because we feel like it's delayed. I feel like God also makes room because he knows. Like he knows us and he knows what we're gonna do. He knows what we're gonna be like, nah, I'm a hold off. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like all of that is considered. And so I feel like no matter how late we think we are, I feel like it's still important to put the stuff out there. It's still important to follow through. Because even talking to you like about this, like seeing you go from, yeah, super excited to like, I don't know, to like, no, I'm super excited again. Like a lot of people would stop at, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people would be like, okay, like, nah, that was a silly idea. But you got back on. And I feel like that takes a lot of courage, a lot of strength, like a lot of faith and trust, to be able to hop back on despite like what you've seen, or how you feel like you're inadequate. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that because I needed that. So I do want to talk about you seeing other people doing what you want to do, right? And how like you said that you were researching and it's like, oh wait, people are already doing it or whatever. Um, how do you one honestly feel like when you see someone like doing something like that honest feeling, but how do you keep going in spite of, like, how do you still be like, okay, this is like, this blows, right? But like, I'm still gonna do it. Like, how do you keep going?
So I actually sought out wise counsel.
That's
Um,
good.
Not only from like therapy
Mm,
and
true.
working on my inner self, but
Yeah.
I actually had the opportunity to sit with a branding expert, um, another woman who has been in marketing. I attended her workshop,
Mm,
and then there was one-on-one coaching. So even like things being pushed back in
mm,
terms of launch date, it was intentional at the same time because I had the opportunity to sit at the feet of,
love
you
it.
know, millionaires, um,
Mm,
who are literally like experts in this field, to really sit and just hear and glean from them. And that was something that I actually shared with them. Like, hey, there's like an oversaturated market for boxes,
yeah.
children's learning boxes. And one thing that they shared was it may be oversaturated, but there is an idea and a vision that is unique to you.
That's good. Yeah.
Um, and just hearing that from people in the marketing field was like, oh, okay. So, like, even though like, for example, I don't know about sharing other brands or companies on this space.
Feel
Okay,
free. I mean,
so
yeah.
there's a marketplace called Crate Joy,
Mm,
and
mm,
like there are literally like thousands of different types of boxes,
mm.
and they the marketing expert was saying like it's a thousand different types of boxes because there are a thousand types of needs.
Yeah.
So you should not feel overwhelmed. The fact that you were able to come up with this idea,
Mm,
and I have trademarked. We are trademarked, so no one has our name.
yeah.
Um, a lot of our content and materials are unique, like they're ideas that we've created, and so it's copywritten. And so there are ideas that no one else will have but ours. And it was really affirming to hear that. That
Mm,
really boosted my confidence. And it helped me to keep my blinders on and not look at what other people are doing, because there's a market for that person, there's a market for me.
yes.
um and they started to like list a whole bunch of different products that exist,
Yeah.
that literally there are thousands of different types, and all of us buy each of them.
Mm, yeah.
Think about the person who created earrings.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, but there's a jewelry shop that already exists. Yeah, but
Mm,
that's not the jewelry shop that exists. And I grew up in the hood. And honestly, like, the hood version of all of this is I grew up with 2 corner stores right
That's
across the
good.
street from each other.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what a corner store is, it's like a bodega that's on the corner. It got all the convenience. It got your chips, your soda, your toilet paper, everything. It's like the 7-Eleven for the hood.
Right.
And they literally were right across the street from each other. And we used to go back and forth for stuff like it never happened. I'm like, how are they thriving?
Yeah.
They're selling the same thing, but I'm gonna buy my chips from here and my juice from here because their
Mm,
refrigerator is cold. And so I like their juice from here, but I'm
yeah.
gonna get the chips here because I like the way he keeps it high up so people don't be touching all over it. And literally, this is the consumer's mindset when they're purchasing things.
It is.
And so I had to do a lot of unlearning about like
Mm,
how I see myself, how I show up in the world, actualizing dreams, and just
mm.
saying, like, this is something that I haven't, I'll never know the success of it unless I actually take a leap of faith and actually do it.
That 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 is really good. No, because again, like I said, like we try to foresee what's going to happen. We don't know. We don't know. Like we don't know what we don't know.
Yep.
And I think what you talk about, like building community, like community, I feel like is so important, especially like if you're trying to chase a dream, if you're trying to start a business, and also mentorship, like gleaning from people who are there, who have been there, and who have fallen on their faces, so you don't have to fall on your face, and you can learn from their mistakes and their, triumphs. And I think sometimes people are just afraid of reaching out. I feel like, or they feel like they don't have community. They feel like maybe no one's going to get it. But I feel like now that we have resources like the internet and,
That's how I found. I didn't know these people from nowhere. And
yes.
you'd be surprised. I'm sorry to interject.
No,
You'd
please.
be surprised how many people are actually really nice. There
Yeah.
are 2 celebrities, and I don't even know if I should be saying this, but there are 2 celebrities who communicate with me on a regular basis and have
Mm.
been giving me lots of tips and just motivation around like pushing forward.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
they have large followings, and I'm just excited that I'm like, God, you sent these people my way. All I did was laugh at one of their videos. And the conversation just kept going and never
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
And just being able to glean from people that, like, I had to push myself to say, you know what, let me take a risk here. And if they don't answer or respond, so
Yeah.
be it. But like,
Mm.
hey, what do you think about this?
Hmm.
Well, I'm trying to do this. You are very inspiring.
Hmm.
And they surprisingly respond. And it's so cool to know that there are people. And I really believe, like for you, as an example, creating a space for other people to learn from you. You don't, all the things that you're saying about yourself around how you still feel like, oh my gosh, should I be doing? But
Yes.
there are people who sign up to attend your workshops. Like,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're open to sharing what you're learning. There are
Mm.
so many authentic people in the world that are willing to share. And it's
Yeah.
so good if we just take that risk
Of
and
asking.
be okay with a little burn if they don't respond, to just
True.
hey,
Yeah.
can I learn from you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you said, like, what's the worst that can happen? They don't respond. Like, okay, like but it feels like it can feel like rejection, which sucks. But really, I feel like I was talking to somebody. They said, give yourself more chances to win, right? So if you keep putting it out there, like if you go once and they don't respond, yeah, that feels like you failed everything. But if you put 10 requests out there or reach out to 10 people, like with gratitude and, graciousness and all that, and one person responds, like that's 1 out of 10 responses, but you got to put out the 10 requests. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, that's really inspiring and encouraging. Like, how did you just start out that way? Like thinking like, oh, if they don't respond, oh, well, like, or was it just like, have you had instances where you've been burned, so to speak, or?
Um, the burn, yes.
Okay.
from I'm not even talking about from like super popular people, from
Yeah.
friends.
Mm. Yeah.
But for me, it was like I was being my authentic self. Like I've always challenged myself to be my most authentic self and to show love and to support others. And um it just so happens that some people see that consistency and see that love and they acknowledge it. And
That's good.
so there were quite a few, burn moments where I'm like, dang, you could have just hit the double tap with a like. All I said was I really like the way you marketed that. Like,
Yeah.
or like I've been support. I remember when you wasn't doing nothing, working at Target, posting your little videos. Nah. But
Not your little videos.
right. But no, just engaging with people and
Yeah.
taking that risk. I ate those and just kept moving. And
Yeah.
honestly, like seeing other people respond and engage really just it opened up the doorway for me to be more
Yeah.
transparent, be more engaging with other people.
Yeah.
So like I said, I attended a workshop of this woman. I didn't know her. I saw another Facebook friend post that this workshop was happening, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna know anybody there, but I'm gonna attend it was virtual because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna attend. And
Yeah.
it said like it was an intimate session. So I invested in myself too. I was really doing it for my mental health. I was like, I don't know what's gonna come of this.
Yeah.
Um, but it was like, I think it was like $50 to attend the workshop, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Signed up. They said it was gonna be intimate. They were gonna discuss your ideas, see if it, help you just have an opportunity to bounce your idea. And so I went. I didn't know any of the 20 women who were there, but this woman was just really inspiring. And so, I ended up sending her an email and saying, like, you were really inspiring. I'd love to have the opportunity to engage with you one on one. And I said, let me know the cost. And
Yes.
she was just like, thank you so much for reaching out. No cost. Let's have a conversation.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So much came out of just the community building, the relationship building there.
Yeah.
And I feel like just taking that risk and just knowing that someone who has such a busy schedule, someone who is making triple my salary,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is willing to say, you know what, I'm still a person and I see
Yes.
what you're trying to do. Let's talk.
Yeah.
I think that was empowerment for me to reach out to the next person and say,
Yeah.
hey, let me
Mhm.
try this here.
Yes.
It's just worked.
Yeah.
And
It's like when you get, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say I've been able to learn and glean from people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I think some people sadly think that they have to work in a vacuum because they have been burned or like they feel like no one else, like working by yourself is better than working in community. And I think sometimes I understand because again, some people have trauma around community, but I also feel like it could be pride too. Like, oh, I want to be able, I said, I want to be able to say I made this on my own. Like, but I really feel like one, you get further, you go longer with community, but also we all like win from each other. Like it's never just like, oh, like this idea of like pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. It's like that's not real. Like that's
Right.
everybody's on somebody's shoulders, everybody's linked arms with somebody. And I think that's the best way to be successful is to have community to be able to lean on, to actually give back to, and to get from. But I do want to ask you about like, I know that you said that you've been burned by friends and, how did you deal with, because what I'm trying to say, let me go back. I think sometimes we think our friends are our people or our audience, or our family, right? We feel like, oh, well, they're my friends and family. They should support like everything I'm doing. And sometimes sadly, they don't, and have you ever had to deal with that? Like people not supporting you or people burning you? And like, how did you, I guess, move on from that?
Well, not in a business sense, but in a
Mhm.
personal sense.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that I will say is I had to learn, and this happened in therapy, I had to learn that the way that I'm there for people isn't necessarily how they will be able to be there for me
Mhm.
because everybody has their own unique experience. And I had to really, really do some work around like everybody isn't going to always be aware of the sacrifice you made to show up for them.
That's good. Yeah.
So in their mind, you showed up for them. And that's it. Unless you're just that type of person, like, I took a bus, a train, a car, spent my whole income tax check
Oh my God.
to come to say hi to you.
Yeah.
Right? That's annoying. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure nobody will want to be your friend after that. But like, everybody isn't aware of the sacrifice that you make to show up for others, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to stop taking certain things personal about like milestones in life or or sharing. And social media will send you the wrong messages. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen people who were very much in their feelings over the minimal amount of likes they received on a thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that. First of all, there's an algorithm behind that.
That.
And you didn't post a picture with it. So that's why it didn't reach everybody. So you mad because Shatiqua never liked your post and
Right.
never saw it because there's a certain way that
Yep.
branding happens. So yeah. So I
Yeah.
learned to not take things personal in that sense. Unless we have like a daily interaction, like you're my mother and you know what I'm doing and
Right.
you make a conscious and clear effort to not engage or support what I'm doing. One thing that I'm learning from a business standpoint is, and this came out of a workshop that I attended, is to not look at your friends and family as your consumers.
That's good. Yeah.
Will they consume? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if your product is good enough, but to not take it personal because that is not your audience, and to really seek out who your audience is, which is why I joined a lot of things. Thank goodness for like Facebook communities where there are people who are looking and wanting to engage. And then one plan that I have is to reach out to the audiences that I want to build that community and build that space and engage in more, parents and children and find out what their needs are and what they want from our business.
Yeah.
And that's a very vulnerable place to be as a business owner.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure Starbucks is not taking, well, they probably are, but they're not like welcoming, like, you need to change your menu to,
Yeah. No.
you need burgers at
Yeah.
your Starbucks joint. Okay. But they do have those feedback surveys. They do have those opportunities. And just being engaging with the few people that you do glean, because chances are, if a person likes your product, they're going to tell another person.
Yes.
Who, like, allowing your community to build itself. That's something that I had to tell myself, and to really not get in my feelings about love lost, because it's true, it's going to happen. And I don't expect, like, I'm telling myself this now. I know my husband is great at this, but I'm such I'm always in the heart and feels of people. I love people, and I love to make the people that I love feel good. But I don't expect them to make purchases. Will they? Probably, but I'm not gonna go in like, all my Facebook friends better purchase. I've been liking y'all posts since Facebook started. I'm not doing that because I'm gonna set myself up for the biggest heartbreak ever.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
That's really good. One about the algorithm too. Like there's definitely a feeling, especially as an artist or an entrepreneur, where you're like, no, this is my heart. Like I'm serving my heart to you through this Instagram post or face, whatever it is. But they're not on your side. So like they're not like, unless you're like boosting a post or unless they find it, how people are responding, they find that valuable, they're not going to boost it. So a lot of people aren't going to see it. So you have to keep showing up. You have to keep exposing yourself.
yeah.
And so that is vulnerable work. That is hard to be like, okay, I posted this earlier today, but I'm going to post it again, and I'm going to post it tomorrow. And sometimes I know I struggle with feeling like, oh God, are they going to get sick and tired of seeing this? But they haven't seen it. So like for some people, it's like, oh, this is the first time I'm actually even seeing this content. Yeah. Like, so I don't know.
It's funny because I think of the biggest influencers, and I remember seeing them post the same video like 7 times and be like, "Go look at my last post."
Yes.
And I remember initially being annoyed by that,
Mm,
but then now I'm like, "Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you
yeah,
post the go look again post so I know, so it can come up in my
exactly.
feed?" Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So those are things that we're gonna have to like work on to push past. Again, that's a lot of self work to tell yourself like you deserve to be
Yes.
marketed
Yeah.
by
Uh,
you and by others. Like the
yes.
way that people are gonna see it is if you put it out there. Like the being consistent and being vulnerable is where it's at. That's the thing that we're gonna have to work on as
Yeah.
creatives, as Black women, because the world
Yes.
tells us that we're supposed to be hidden and we're supposed to just sit back. You know,
That is
yeah,
that is so real. It's like ingrained in us from birth. Like, know
yep,
your place. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to be seen, not heard in a lot of places, especially sadly, like in Black families, but also like in communities, but also like in church too. Like there's a lot of I guess pressure put on Black women to one be everything, but then not be visible, which
yeah.
is this weird balance. And it is a lot of unlearning. And
Mhm.
especially like and especially if it's like reinforced in your family like over and over and over again, like no, be quiet, don't be seen. When you want to market yourself, it's like, oh, I'm being prideful, or I'm being,
Yeah,
I think I'm better than somebody. And it's like, no, like businesses do this all the time. Like you go to that store because you keep seeing that commercial, right? You buy
right.
that song because you keep hearing little clips of it. The artist keeps playing it over and over and over again. Like, so like it's that same idea. And I also like that you're talking about your family and friends are not your market. I really think that that's really good in how you're going about building community so that you actually have a market. You know what I'm saying? Um, and while I do feel like some, like you said, some friends and family will share it with other people for sure. Like I do think sometimes we have to broaden our experience in life. Like our family and friends, like they're good for our heart, they're good for our soul, like they're our people, right? But our products, like they're not necessarily for the people that are part of our heart and soul. It's like if you might want to separate, versus like you don't want to put the pressure on your friends to buy up all your product. You want to
Mhm.
be able to actually be present in those relationships and those friendships, not be distracted by, oh, this person, I got this chip on my shoulder because they didn't support me, da 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 da. But you can build another community to actually take part in what you're creating, you know? And
And
then go ahead.
I think for me, it also comes down to the fact that I love hooking my people up. And I'll be out of
Yes.
business tomorrow. The first launch day today, out of
That's
business
good.
tomorrow because the minute I see your cute little baby face, I'm gonna just put everything in the box.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
can have all of them. And I'm not even joking.
Yes. Yes.
That's just me as a person. I'm gonna want to hook you up and like, you could
Yeah.
get 2 boxes for one.
Yes.
That's just how I roll. And
Yeah.
so I have to really be conscious and aware of it. Thank God my husband is not like me in that sense. It's like, okay, let's crunch the numbers. Okay,
Yes.
get in one box.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
would like to make another purchase, like he's gonna have to be that. That's why we're a great team in that sense.
Yeah.
But I would just be hooking people up all the time and
Yeah.
not with any money.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm not living on my best life that way.
hello. Not at all. You say it again.
I say God is not going to be pleased with that.
No.
Like
No.
I said,
No.
I gave you. Don't come to me asking me for money. I gave you the opportunity. You gave it
Right.
away. Where's your talents? You gave them all away.
And while that can come from a great place, I definitely resonate with that. Like when for photo shoots and stuff like that, people are like, how much? I'm like, no, please, like you're my friend. Like I just wanna, but I gotta eat. I gotta pay bills, right? So
Sitting
so I
there eating them photos.
yes. It's like I feel bad. Like, can we talk about like what it's like to work with your husband, like in business? Like, how has that experience been for you?
First of all, before I even say that, I
Yeah.
don't know if y'all know Toby and Wigwe.
Yes.
So David and I had an opportunity to attend like a VIP Zoom session with them. And
Nice.
we asked them this question.
Yeah.
Because we were like, what is it like to work with your spouse? We're about to launch our business and we're going to have to do a lot of work in together. And they gave us such sound advice. Like, I was so happy to be able to just hear from a power couple in that sense who are literally building their business and their brand together. And just a few tidbits that they shared is like, remember that that's your spouse first, and like having respect at the forefront of everything that you do, because like there are times where like David and I have different work ethics. We happen to work in the same field. We're both educators, but we have different work ethic. Me, if I'm working on something and I'm frustrated or it's not coming together, I push pause, I take a break, and then I reset. David will power through until he will obsess over it and stay up until 4 a.m. until he figured it out. And it will be brilliant.
Yeah.
But he exhausts himself. And so we found challenges where I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna figure that out. And he's like, wait, what? We gotta figure this out. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I sure am. And then, but when I come back with that recharge, oh, honey, all I need to do is watch one good episode of Martin so I can get the last out. So I'm relaxed, and then I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Right? And then what has happened in those instances is when it's time for us to show up for each other, it's like, I'm tired and you recharge, you fine. I'm fine. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have nothing left to give.
Yeah.
So like creating boundaries around our business and our relationship was like huge for us. And then respecting each other's ideas and learning spaces. You know, we learn different, and I feel like that's the work of our business. So we get to be the first beneficiaries of our business. Like,
that's good.
Being self-aware. This is how I learn. This is how I communicate. This is how I do the thing. I'm not, we're in respecting the fact that we're different, and then self-regulating our emotions around it. Like I mentioned before, David is very good at, being a businessman and saying, no, this is how it's going to be, where my heart is in it first. Where I'm showing up like, give them all the boxes. And he's like, so that balance and being able to, have code words to say like, babe, you too far in the heart. I need you to get back to the head. Like get back to the business side. And respecting each other's voice enough to be like, okay, you're right. But it is a challenge. It's a daily challenge. And remembering the fact that like, this is my husband right now, not my business partner.
That's
and
good.
Then knowing like, business partner, I need you to get up and get the copy. Okay? Right. And remember, like, we're both bosses. It's not employee boss. I think that was one of the feedbacks that they gave us. That was so good. I was like, right.
Yes.
Not my boss.
Yeah.
Watch this Martin episode. Nah. We're both bosses.
Yeah.
We'll have employees in the future.
Yes, employees. Yes.
Right.
But I really love that you're talking about boundaries and things like that, because I think a lot of people get it like muddy. Like, at what point do we, and I feel like I've had that question, like, at what point do we like, okay, this is our time versus like, this is business time. So like, even if it's like, oh, if we're on a date, we're not talking about business. Like, we'll write it down in a little note. Say it again.
Preach to us.
No, like, and it's hard. It's hard because especially now, like, we're just together all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, oh, I'm separating this and this, and we're going to have a business meeting here. It's like, no, we're in our house, we're in our living room, we're in our bedroom. But really separating like, okay, at this time, we're going to stop working. And so I have notes on my phone where I'm just like, okay, let me write down ideas. I'm gonna write down ideas because I have to do that for myself too. Like,
Yeah.
not just with my husband, but also just like, okay, Alecia, like you can't be working all the time. You literally have to be present. You have to be present for the things that matter. Like I have to be a wife, I have to be a daughter, a friend, like yes. And it's so difficult because you're so passionate about it. You're like,
Passion.
yes,
Mhm.
but we really have to do the work, and that is work to be like, okay, I understand I have the passion. It's the fire's not going to die. You know what I'm saying? I can pause for tomorrow, and I read this somewhere that like you don't want to work until you're exhausted of everything. Like you want to save a little bit in your cup so that you have more to come to tomorrow. So you
Yeah.
look forward to something tomorrow as opposed to just like, I got to figure everything out today. It's like, no, like just take it piece by piece, and again, keep that log of ideas and things like that. And it'll come together a lot smoother and you'll be a lot less burnout too. So yeah, boundaries are a thing I'm working on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And try throwing a baby and a 9 to 5 in
Whew.
there, and yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. Like, yes.
Woo. Yep. So there's a lot of scheduling happening
Yeah.
in our lives. Like
Mm.
from 9 to 5, we work. On our lunch break, we talk, catch up
Yeah.
with the baby, keep him
Yes.
schedule so he can enjoy his life and not feel
Mhm.
altered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that because even though like this is for his eye, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like you still want to be there with him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's great to build something for him. Like yeah, like like he inspired all this, right? But it's still like, but you being there, present with him, is what
Yep.
matters most. You know, even if he didn't have a business. So I appreciate you sharing that. Just as we start to come to a close, I guess I want to ask you like, what is your vision? Like from where you are now? I'm sure years from now it'll probably change, which is great.
Mhm.
Which is why I think it's amazing that you talk about it started in 2014. Like it's not something that just happened yesterday. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like you've been just trying things and showing up for things and being available to just like see what happens. Like so from where you stand right now, like what is your vision for your business, for your life? Like where would you like to see yourself? I'll give like 10 years. Like in 10 years, where would you like to see yourself?
I'm not sure if I should lay down on the couch and talk or if I should sit up straight and give the interviews.
That's funny. Be yourself.
This is the interview therapy session. I'm loving it.
Yay.
But no, like honestly, the overarching vision is that we become leading voices in the work to making sure that Black people are emotionally mature and that families are g- bonded and glued together in love and unity, and that we're creating content, products, space for that to happen. I don't want to get in the weeds because I don't want anybody to steal my ideas.
No, that's fine.
But like, if we can make just being yourself and having your family at the center and the heart of it a
Mhm.
thing, I think we would be in a good place. Like I really, whatever that family makeup looks like, whether
Yeah.
it's a family you had to create on your own or the family that God gave you that you want to work on and uplift. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of work to be done in that space and in that area. And I feel like um, especially Black people right now. Even though our boxes are open to everyone, our target audience is intentionally Black people
Yeah.
and people of color because I feel like we continuously get the backhand, like the election right now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you see what happens
Yeah.
when Black people, Black women like Stacey Abrams show up. Like change is gonna come.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
stop pushing us aside. Stop telling us
Mm.
that we're not relevant, that we're not worthy of having a voice. And
Yes.
so, if by each box, children are seeing themselves and are learning and are having fun and are just, being uplifted. I
Yeah.
think that to us in a few years is going to look different. It's going to look like children giving their own take on the world and like doing self. If we can have children saying, these are the 5 steps that you can do,
Love
like
it.
I feel like that would just make my heart so happy. And then I
Yeah.
can go on to do something else amazing.
Mm.
But like, and hopefully like Azai, as he gets older, he can give us ideas and content and, run this business himself so we can
Yeah.
go on and do something else.
Yeah.
But we're really just trying to be there, make a name for just Azai, for this world. And yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm rattling now, but like
No.
trying to give enough without giving away too much.
Mm.
But like
Yeah.
we just want a better world. Simply
Yeah.
put, we want a better world. We want Black people to feel safe in it and feel
Absolutely.
loved and feel loved by themselves and others.
Yeah. I love that. And I also love that you're not waiting for someone to create this or to give you permission. Like you're creating it yourself. And I feel like for Black folk, especially, but also probably people of color as well, like no one's ever handed us anything. Like we've always had to create our own things. And we haven't waited. It's like, okay, well, since you won't allow me access, since you won't allow me education, or whatever, then I'm going to go about seeking it myself. I'm going to build my own school. I'm going to build my own business. I'm going to build my own program, like these kind of things. And I feel like that speaks to how resilient and resourceful people of color, Black people are, and yeah, I think that's reflecting here. Like, oh, I see a problem. I'm not going to seek solutions. Like, no, I'm going to create it here because I see it and I can do something about it. And if you can do something about it, I think it's our privilege. Like it's our honor, like it's an honor to be able to do something about it instead of just like
Yeah, absolutely.
observing. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So if you could like share like everything, like where people can find you, like when stuff would be, available, that kind of thing.
So to be updated, you can visit our website, www.buybboxes.com.
Yay.
And you can sign up on an email so that you can just be kept up to speed with our launch, with everything. And then following us on Instagram at Kids Be Boxes so that you can see just some of the behind the scenes, what some of the offerings will be. And then we're going to share later the private Facebook community that we're creating for parents who are serious about doing the work around social emotional learning with their children.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
so that's going to come. And in just a short time, November is here. So we will be launching soon, very soon. But you have to stay on the Instagram page so that you can see that content. Of course, you'll be able to see it on our website, but the Instagram page is where we'll be doing most of the engagement so you can see that.
That's
And I'm
perfect.
really, really excited about that.
Yes, I'm excited too. And I'll share the links and everything when I post this. So,
Okay.
so yes, is there anything that you want to say, like from your heart, like anything you're feeling or any
Yeah.
last, go ahead. Yes,
All
please.
right.
No, please.
Shout out to everybody that's Black, that's creating something. You guys are the real MVPs. This world has been so cruel to us. But if you push through this pandemic to create and to be creative and to give back to a world that is constantly telling you that you don't matter, you are like so dope. And if you're not, and if you're choosing self care, shout out to you. If you're protecting your space and your heart and your mind right now, and you're deciding to just sit back and chill and to gather yourself, you are dope too. I feel like this year has been hard on all of us, and if we are making it to the end, that is good, that is great, and we are doing the thing.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody Black.
Hey. That's perfect to end on. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here and taking time just to talk with me and to the people and to share your wisdom and your experiences. I really appreciate it. And I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yay.
Yay.